Agenda item number 3, citizens to be heard. This is an opportunity for citizens wishing to address the City Council on any issue or any item on the agenda. City Council may not discuss any presented issue, nor may any action be taken on any issue at this time in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act. Citizens to be heard are limited to 3 minutes each. Okay. Chuck?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we have Chuck Jones with Advanced Water Well.
Yes, sir.
Question. All right, Chuck, welcome. I hope you can say what you need in 3 minutes by...
Absolutely.
Gotcha.
Can I power this on? Yes, sir.
Check. Good enough. Oh, yes, sir. I was meeting with Mr. Jordan this past week and Pete as well, and wanted to come in and give the council an update and see if there was, any opportunity, if y'all had any questions at all. We did complete the rehab over at the Martin Street well, and all is well over there. We did our typical running of brush down it and jetting out all the fill, and as well as we acidized that well to reseed all the iron bacteria in the formation. And really all you're really awaiting is to install a new pump or install a pump. We want to salvage any equipment that you had out there that was still in use, and because of the iron bacteria, the submersible pump that you had has a lot of stainless steel parts in it, so it's an expensive pump. So, weighing the options cost-wise, it's more effective for y'all to replace the motor in that pump and, replace some of the bearings and such in that pump and use that pump. With salvaging what you had there and repairing that pump versus buying a new one, it's about half the cost. All of your column pipe that was in that well is a type of column pipe that's called Certalock. So it's a PVC type material, and you're using a non-metallic column pipe in that well because with the iron bacteria, obviously that would attach to any kind of metallic material. That pipe itself needs to be replaced because a lot of it's been sitting out in the sun for a few years, and we wouldn't want to have to necessarily fish that pump out of the bottom of that well because we had a failure with the column pipe. But other than that, I've presented the proposal to do that work to Mr. Jordan. But on the front end, we did finish the work that we had already been contracted with y'all to do.
All right. Okay, also, since this is not exactly the nature of citizens' comment and what have you, if you wish to proceed further, you're more than welcome.
No, I'm actually good. I wanted to give y'all an update. I don't know with the citizens' comments if this is an opportunity to answer any questions or not, if there's any questions, or is this just a one-way?
Yeah, this particular one, the way it's worded and such, it's just for us to listen.
Yeah.
And the council's not supposed to converse or whatever.
Fair enough, yeah. And just so on the back end, if any questions arise or you go home tonight and a light bulb goes off in your head for some information you need, you can contact Pete or Mr. Jordan, and they'd be happy to run those questions to me, and I'll be happy to supply any answers y'all need, okay?
All right.
Appreciate y'all.
Thanks, Chuck.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate what you're doing. Yes, sir.
Just to follow up, the estimate came in after we posted our agenda. That's why it's not actually on the agenda for action. But as the gentleman said, they did their initial phase 1. They believe that they dropped the new pump into the system that they can extract good quality water out of that location. So that's just an update. Want to bring it back to you all as soon as possible, and we'll bring it on the next. Just want to let y'all give you an update on phase 1 of what you approved last time.
Yeah, this is also very, very good news for the LC Martin well up there, which is up there by Triple C for those who wonder. So we could get that up to running to its full capabilities. We can probably increase the water pressure and water service in that side of town. So that's always been a problem. So but that'll come at the next meeting. So, all right, we got any public recognition, David?
Yes, sir. We have
item number 4. Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
I didn't announce it tonight.
Okay.
I have.
Yes, sir. We had a great week last week, and one of the main items of last week was that we were able to do the grand reopening of our library. And we have our library director here, Miss Debbie, if you'd like to come up to the podium and elaborate on the process.
Okay, I'm gonna try not to cry.
You can cry, it's okay.
It looks beautiful over there, guys. We invite everybody to come over. It's very bright, it's very cheerful. I have a little something I wrote, and as I said, I'm gonna try not to cry. Good evening to Mayor Cook, City Council members, and guests. My journey with the library began in 2006 as a volunteer. Ooh, okay, hold on. In 2007, I joined the staff. By 2017, I was honored to become the director, following the retirement of my mentor, Barbara Marr. From the beginning, serving the library has been my way of giving back to a community that has given so much to my family for generations. My family moved to this community in 1887, and the home I now live in has actually been in my family for 102 years. Public libraries are vital to the communities, yet they are often overlooked during budget seasons. Because of that, we have long relied on grants and community support to supplement our city budget and maintain our services and programs. Tonight, I would like to recognize the mayor, city council. During this past season, Mayor Cook, the council, and especially City Administrator David Jordan recognized a need and made the decision to fund the replacement of our 50-year-old carpet. In 18 years at the library, this was the first time we truly felt such meaningful support from our governing body, truly. Once funding was approved, we secured a grant that allowed us to paint the entire library, upgrade the children's area, and make additional improvements. With the dedication of our staff, Anna Hunley and Stacy Pyron, and an outstanding public works crew, the entire library was carefully packed up, stored in the community center, and then restored. On December 12th, we proudly celebrated our grand reopening. My heart is beyond full of gratitude and excitement for what this renewed space will mean to our community, especially our youth. None of this would have been possible without you guys and without your trust and belief. The belief that Mr. Jordan had in us from the time he arrived, the trust and commitment that you guys gave to us by approving the budget. You didn't only invest in a building, but in a mission and in the future of Devine. I am very proud to call Devine my home and to be a part of such a wonderful team. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart. It's beautiful. I show it off. Everybody walks in the door, I'm like, please come, look. This is what we've done. And then I do have a few people who come in, oh, what'd y'all do? I'm like, ah. I'm like, it's very bright, pretty, let me show you. So yes, thank you guys from the deepest bottom of my heart. And I will praise Public Works with my last breath. Those guys, Pete has a phenomenal team. Without them and my two little employees, we would have never made it. Thank you guys.
Thank you. I'd like to also add that, our community is grateful as well for you and your staff over there. As you know, I've been involved a little bit with the library, and that is one of our little treasures here in town, and you do an outstanding job. It's a wonderful place to go and such, and the stuff you do with the kids is just fabulous. So I don't know if anybody's ever seen it like in the summertime. That parking lot is packed out there because of the events that she brings in and does. So once again, thank you too.
Oh, thank you guys.
Yes, ma'am. Anything else in public recognition, David?
Yes, I just say same thing. I'd just like to congratulate Debbie and the library staff for such a great programming and so forth. When I first got here, I looked at the numbers and the reports and everything, and the traffic that came through our library, and I was like, wow, this is this forward-facing organization of the city, and we need to help support them and support y'all. So I'm glad we're able to get this done. And of course, Public Works, we have a #1 top-notch Public Works director and crew who step in and help wherever needed, and always got all hands on deck on everything that we need to get done. They never complain. They formulate a plan, and we get it done. So I'm super excited for the library staff and the city of Devine. Thank you, appreciate it.
I was going to say there was very little blood, but there was a lot of sweat and tears.
But not zero blood.
Not zero.
Not zero blood.
I still have a cut on my finger.
All right, well, essentially what we did was we kind of combined public recognition, employee recognition there if you're following along in your program. So, but anyway, that was also agenda item number 5. Anything else, guys? Public recognition, employee recognition, anybody?
For employee recognition, I've got a lot of folks, some of them even pulled over, but they are really, really appreciative of the PD getting after the pervasive speeding culture here. So thanks for the great work.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, there was some nice Facebook chatter about has anybody received any presents from Devine PD? Sheriff Brown even commented, and I did too, and I said yes, and there's many more to come. I was making a joke, but in all honesty, the presence of the police force has been outstanding. I myself, as mayor, I have gotten more comments on that, I think, than anything in the 3 years or so I've been the mayor. So the public recognizes what you guys are doing, and the visibility is the best thing you could have to prevent things. You know, so once again, hats off to you guys. All right, that brings us to agenda item number 6. Approve the minutes from September 29th, 2025, and then follow with the minutes from October 21st, 2025.
I'll make a motion, we approve the minutes from September as is.
I'm reading the wrong one here. Let's see. There was one. What I received, I got it. The one I received in my email was, I understand it's been correct. Just let me double check. Excuse me just a minute, please. Okay. And, did you just do a September 29th, Josh? Okay. We have a motion from Josh to approve the minutes on September 29th, 2025.
I'll second it.
We have a second from Jeff. Discussion? All in favor? Motion passes unanimously, 5-0. Moving on to the minutes of October 21st, 2025.
Okay, yeah, the minutes for October 21st. A few spelling errors. I would like to inquire, can we start using maybe AI to make this a little bit faster and reduce the spelling errors? Minor spelling errors, but it seems that would probably save a lot of time. Just, you need a human to proofread it and make sure it's all good. But there's some, you can have something transcribe all the comms and then spit out something using these as examples. Also, agenda item 11, I think it was page 3 of the minutes. I would like to use that as a learning opportunity for better framing our requests in the future. And so there was the disagreement on the facade improvement based on where the money was coming from. Jeff and I were concerned that we hadn't actually budgeted for it, and I couldn't recollect exactly in post-meeting conversations, but the meeting minutes do reflect that there was the belief that the money could come from a CD that was coming mature, and our thought was, well, this isn't something we explicitly planned for in budget season, let's do it, but at the end of the budget year instead of right now. And then I heard afterwards, no, this was budgeted for, so we just need that sort of clarity and more transparency in the budget time, because that budget is gigantic and really confusing, because heck, even one person's pay comes from like 14 different lines.
Yeah.
So just having that, hear the things written out and maybe, I don't know, lines or something to the different line items, that would help us understand a little bit more during budget season and then be more prepared to say yes to those sorts of things whenever they come up.
Yep.
With that, I'll say
Just like a money trail, so we can see where are the funds coming from, because I think that's the biggest issue. As long as that's clear, then
Those are some very solid points. Well taken. Anything else? Okay.
make a motion, we approve the minutes as for October as is.
All right, we have a motion from Josh to approve the minutes from October 21st.
And I'll second that also.
And also seconded by Jeff. All in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Sure, I'll ask. Council, at this time, it will be to the benefit of our presentations to flip agenda item 7 and agenda item 8.
I'll make a motion, we exchange agenda items 7 and 8.
I'll second.
Motion from Josh to exchange agenda items 7 and 8, seconded by Jeff. All in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Michelle? Okay. So agenda item number 8, discussion and presentation by Mark and Jack McCliney of Samco Capital on the result of phase 1 of our water rate increase. Guys?
Mayor and Council, as you're aware, we had a water rate study done, and I have our utility supervisor here, Stephanie, to give a report. It's in your packet as well on the initial phase 1 implementation, and then phase 2.
Yes, I have the colorful spreadsheet. It does show the most recent numbers after we implemented the second phase of that water rate increase, effective October. So you'll see here are the monthly totals that were brought in for both water and sewer after the first set of increases, and then the last 2 columns will show October, November after the second.
Do we have anything that differentiates the revenue increases between base rate and actual water and sewer usage?
You do not, and I do. You're wanting the base rates of per.
Essentially, the thing I've been trying to get after for a few months here is how much money are we actually getting from the increase in water rates because of the fact that usage has not changed from what I'm told. And so this goes to how much are we hobbling our lower income folks with base rates that are continuously going up when we could be hitting folks with swimming pools and big irrigation and big lawns who are not adjusting their water usage. And how could we then mitigate the impact of these lower income folks with that base rate change? So how much money are we bringing in for water usage, sewer usage versus just having a water meter?
Right, I can provide you that. Based off the base rate, and most of our residential customers have 3/4 meters, they went from a base rate of $47.33 to $56.52. That's the increase there for just having the services. The tiers did go up depending on their usage, and you can see, I believe it starts at $5.50 from every 1,000 to 5,000, and they go up from there depending on usage. Right. But as far as the base rate, that was I think there's like a $13 difference.
Was that just water?
That's just water.
Yeah.
So the sewer also went up. The sewer went up from $34.34 to $45.11, a base rate.
Right.
And then they also went up depending on usage.
I checked on that, kind of made some estimates. I think the total increase in base rate was around $24, $25. So,
Right.
yeah. And then as council remembers, we put in a lot more steps, a lot more intervals.
Like 8.
Right. And the more they use per month, the more they actually pay per gallon also. So I think that was our aim, to try and keep it as low as possible for the minimum users. So, yeah. Go ahead, please. Sorry.
Right. That is all that I have. Do they have the spreadsheet that you provided that you gave me? These were done based on the recommendations and the help of these gentlemen here, the water study that was done. They could probably better explain that spreadsheet to you, those numbers to you.
Mayor and Council, it's a pleasure to be out in Devine again. My name is Jack McCliney with Samco Capital Markets. We're the city's financial advisor. My boss, Mark McCliney, is here as well. You'll see that I passed out a handout before the meeting that's out there in front of you all. And this really just goes into a little bit more depth, that colorful one that you guys have. We expanded on that a little bit. On the far left column, water revenues and sewer revenues for the top and bottom spreadsheet are where you all were. 2 columns over, you'll see post-increase revenue, which is the total for each month, and then total increase per month. For We added on December and January, just doing the averaged and put those two numbers in. And for our annual increase, it brought us up to 382,297 on water. And then on sewer rates, 366,209. That is based off of the recommendation that we got from our rate study. For 2025, our water the additional revenue that we needed for our water system was $763,525. That was previous to the second increase that you all just did in October. With that second increase, it's going to take a year or two to catch up from the hole that we were in. But that second increase is getting us into the position that we need to be. And I want to take a second to commend y'all. It's not an easy decision to make. It's not a fun decision to have to make, but it is the right fiscal decision for the city. And really, y'all were digging out of a hole that you guys showed up in. And y'all really did the best that you could, splitting it up into the two separate phases, making sure not to put these changes in the middle of summer when everybody's bill is already higher, and then additionally adding the different tiers. Really think you guys did a great job, and just really wanted to reiterate, we did not have much of a choice on these rate increases at all.
So question, you just mentioned that the target was about $760,000. Well, isn't that kind of what we hit here, if you add them together?
Well, the $763,000 for the water, $661,000 for the sewer.
So we're about halfway there.
We're halfway there. This last rate increase that you all did take a little bit to catch up, but it should get you there, and then we can move forward doing the 2 to 5% increases annually to keep up with inflation and the ever-growing prices of everything.
Exactly. All right. Good news.
Mayor, the one thing I would add, we will relook at this again with the 25 audit. So these were the revenue projections that were required. We don't get the expenses
I got you.
until the audit's finalized. So just when the audit's completed, we'll get those numbers, we will review it totally. Now we have total revenue, which would have only been a half a year of that increase, because it would end September 30th.
Right.
But we'll start seeing that, and then again, we'll look at it again after 2026. But these steps, I think, as Jack pointed out, were needed. You make the hard steps. It's just going to take a little bit of time to work through.
When we went through all this, like the rate study and everything else, it was a long process. And if I remember correctly, we tried to project, okay? And so obviously there may have been expenses that we don't know about and all this and that. But what I really want pointed out is we're meeting our goal, all right? What we intended is working. And yes, we might have additional expenses that we couldn't predict, but I think it's very important to say that we're doing what we intended to do and we're sticking with it. So is that a fair guess?
Yes, sir.
All right, good deal.
And it's definitely looking up from where we were at before we started this.
Gotcha. All right. Thanks, Mark. Thanks, Jack. All right. Anything else on agenda item 8, David?
So that'll mean that next budget, coming up next year, then we'll have to do our pricing, our increase again to, like you said, 3 to 5%, correct?
Well, I thought it was 2.5%.
Okay.
Give or take. But you need, we need to program an annual increase just to keep up. And you
look
know,
at the audit and
right.
Perhaps the expenses came down watching them. We just don't know. But if the expenses or we pick up additional customers, whatever it is, and the profit is where you want it to be, then you will have more flexibility. It gets where we need it to be.
Right.
Yeah, I think one of the long-term solutions is we just need more meters out there because to share the load.
Yep.
Because the same 1,800 people are carrying this and we have to make these huge capital improvements, and that's what's causing the issue. So we got to continue to keep marketing like we're doing and see if we can't get a little more development. You know, that, because that will help.
Across the state, the days of cheap water well on.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Sure.
yeah.
And then it also needs to be pointed out that sometime back in the past, years ago, there was an actual city ordinance here that mandated a utility increase every single year. And it might have been 1%, it might have been 1.5% or whatever. And somewhere along the line, it got completely ignored. So, hindsight's 20/20, but we're starting from this point and we're moving forward, and we're going to tackle it the best we can.
Great improvement since we were last here when we sold funds to the water board. And it's not easy, but we'll keep working through it, and we'll look at numbers when the audit's completed.
All right.
Okay, two issues I'd like to bring up. One, of course, you were my questions maybe 2 or 3 meetings ago. My review of the current water rates, we now have outside city residents at the same rate as inside city residents. That was not what we voted on. I don't know if that was just not written down correctly on the city website of the paper or something, or if we just changed that. And the second thing we keep glazing over is it was still supposed to be brought back to the council to make the official vote on the rate change. If anyone's going to make the difficult choice and looking folks in the eyes that we have to live with and we have to vote in support of their interest for, we need to be the ones making that vote. These gentlemen are here to make sure they collect the money, as they should. We have to get them that money, but it's up to us on how we get that money. So we need to be the ones voting yes or no on these price increases, not delegating it to city staff who, not saying it's a bad decision, but we need to be the ones driving that gavel slamming to say we're behind this change.
So did council not approve the final rate changes?
We approved the initial one, and we said we would revisit in October, or maybe September. I don't remember the exact time, but we would revisit the rate changes prior to implementation.
So I thought that the meter rates.
Yeah, there's a misunderstanding here, because I reviewed all those minutes and so forth, and they were both passed at the same time, with the next one to take effect in October. So, but we can go back and research that again, because if we didn't formally pass it, then we have an issue. But I'm 99.5% certain that council passed both of them at the same time.
I remember we're supposed to readdress it. What I remember in those meetings, we were going to readdress the October.
Yeah, what I remember was, yes, we were going to readdress it, but it was passed.
Then we have a
We didn't
sense.
leave it in limbo because we had to hit the funds. Okay, we had to have something in there that was going to show that we were going to get to this point. Okay, but we can look that up again. I even looked it up not too long ago. It seemed awfully legit to me in the council. The motion was to pass both rate increases, and then we were going to look at the result of the first rate increase and what have you, but it wasn't determined by. They were both passed at the same time.
I'm coming at us more from the perspective of the precedent that has been set by council in the past, where admin staff just ran the show and council could be a rubber stamp at times. And so we need to continue moving forward with our names on that dotted line, not pushing off blame on the staff or letting them to make decisions that maybe they're not comfortable or they shouldn't be making without council saying, it's our name, we made this tough decision. It's not up to whoever, we had to do it.
Well, that is for certain. Yes, sir. Go ahead. Yes, sir.
Okay, so I've reviewed Mr. Ritchie's request. I've looked over the minutes. I've reviewed the actual tape recording of the meeting when we were briefed by Mr. Raul Gonzalez from Communities Unlimited. He gave the presentation on the water rate study, and he also, Mr. McCliney was here, and the recommendation given by Mr. Gonzalez and Mr. McCliney was that we had to pass the recommendation of what was passed. Now, there was a lot of questions on if we could pass half of it, some of it, or none of it, and the recommendation from the experts was we had to pass all of it, the council had to pass all of it, and this is just to pay the debt obligation that we have for the city. And the compromise from the city council was, and actually Mr. McCliney made that recommendation, that you pass the entire amount, 91% for the sewer, 48% for the water, and you pass it in 2 phases. Phase 1 will be implemented in February of 2025, and then after fiscal year of 2025, which is September 30th, Phase 2 will be implemented in October. That entire conversation was had that night. The entire vote was agreed upon that night. Otherwise, the city administrator, the city staff would have never implemented that policy. They have no desire to be in control of anything other than what I'm instructed to be by the governing body. So it's in the minutes of what the vote was for the city council. Phase 2, 2-phase implementation, February and October, and it's on the city council YouTube channel about the meeting of the decision that was made. That was a vote that was made. So then also, a conversation was had after Phase 1 was implemented. At the end of Phase 1, from February to September, a report would be given from the city manager, which is me, city administrator, on the progress or the amount that was raised from the rate increase from February to September. And I actually did that at a meeting in August timeframe, or September timeframe, as informational materials to the city council. And I gave an update that we were given, that we were averaging $32,000 per month after Phase 1 from February to September with this new increase, and that the other increase was going to be implemented in October. So that's, just for the record, that's how the meeting went. That was the will of the council at that time, and that's the policy that I implemented with y'all's instructions.
Okay?
Let me clarify, I don't think there's any malintent in your behalf. No, at least that was not the intent of anything, any of my words.
I think both points are solid and well taken. Obviously, we can't have city staff and this and that doing things without council approval. That goes without saying. There's been talk that that's happened before in the past, and we're not allowing that any longer. Yeah. So, okay. Anything else, guys, on agenda item number 8? Okay. All right. Moving on. Thanks, Mark. Thanks, Jack.
Very good.
Same to you. All right, and moving on, we now have agenda item number 7, discussion and presentation from Larry Jones of Texas Rebuild. All right.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
can I preface this before the gentleman gives his presentation?
Yeah, we need a little something.
Right, as y'all are aware, we've been doing a lot of capital improvement projects, pretty much all things infrastructure, water-wise. And so Mr. Jones and his company came down and get the analysis of our water systems. We have currently, y'all have currently approved to rehabilitate the water wells, and we're going to bring that back online. But other infrastructure in the city is still lacking and needs repair, such as the lift stations. We currently have 3 lift stations that are aged, and we need ways to fund those. So and he also came down and looked at the LC Martin Water Well and some other infrastructure at the wastewater treatment plant. So this gentleman and his company has some ideas and some potential funding solutions for this. This is just a presentation. There's no decision that need to be made, and that's why I want to bring him in at this time. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you. Can we get that put on the first slide, please? Who's one of the slides for me?
You're kind of tall, but do what you can with that mic.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
There
Thank
you
you. Okay, perfect. My name is Richard Gibbons, and that's Larry Jones over there, and Boo Podonowski, who's an engineer. And so, as Mr. Jordan said, we've done some assessment of your infrastructure. And we work with cities, and we've been working with cities for a long time. Number one challenge that I hear from city leaderships, from councils, from city managers, from public works director, is we have infrastructure challenges, right? In our water system, our wastewater, our roads, our buildings, lots of infrastructure challenges, lots of needs. and we don't have the money to pay for it. Kind of what I'm hearing here, right? So very, very common in Texas. And so we specialize in helping cities solve those kinds of problems. And so Mr. Jordan invited us in. Could I get the next slide, please? And so we're going to do a quick review of what we've done, very brief. Propose an idea for your consideration, and then if you want to act on it, then we can talk about an action plan, all right? So next slide. So in our conversations with the city staff, said we were told that city staff has identified 30 million needs right now that the city of Devine has in infrastructure needs. And that's some of the ones that are involved in water and wastewater, right? Okay, well, we don't have $30 million. So what do we do? Well, we're looking at the most critical part of that right now is the lift stations, but we're looking at other problems within the city. The question is not do we have these challenges, the question is how do we pay for it, right? So a way, and we're using American Water Works Association guidelines in terms of looking at a solution, right? So there's not a statistic up here, but one of the things that research shows is that more than half of cities are not charging an appropriate rate for water and wastewater in order to maintain and operate the system. They can run the system, but then upgrading it as things wear out, that more than half the cities in Texas don't charge enough. And when you kick that can down the road, then one day you're making some hard decisions like you guys have done here this year, right? And so we say, look, there's some really good guidelines out there that if you follow will help you avoid these kinds of challenges in the future where you have these big increases and the citizens are going, hey, what the heck's going on here, right? One of those is something called a living unit equivalent, okay? So we're gonna talk about that as a standard for how you charge your sewer and water rates. Next slide, please. All right, what's a living unit equivalent? A living unit equivalent is a residential home, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, with 3.5 people living in it. So we have a pipe, what you said, 3/4 inch pipe going into the house is the standard here, right? 3/4 or 5/8 are the two standards you see most of the time going in and out. So that standard residential home, you got thousands of them, right? That's considered one living unit. You got a husband, wife, and a couple of kids, right? So, but in your city, you have residences and businesses that have much larger pipes that are going to that residence or that business where they're using a lot more water. You can have a 1-inch pipe, a 2-inch pipe, a 4-inch pipe, an 8-inch pipe, all right? So how do we standardize a charge across what a typical house uses versus what a hotel with a swimming pool uses, or Walmart uses, or one of your industrial businesses, like a data center? What are they using? How do you standardize that? Well, the American Water Works Association will tell you that a living unit equivalent is an appropriate way to manage that, to charge appropriately to make it equivalent, right? Next slide, please. Okay, all right, so we talked about that. You say, well, listen, Rich, if they got a bigger pipe, they're getting more water, but we charge them by the gallon. That's true, right? That's true. However, what aren't we measuring with that? Think about your house, right? Most residences, you get up in the morning, you use a bunch of water, so there's a spike. Then everybody leaves, kids go to school and you go to work. You get home in the evening, you use water again, there's a spike there. In the middle, there's nothing. So if we average it out over a 24-hour period, you're not using that much water. But you have to size your water plant and your wastewater plant to be able to handle the big spikes. Well, it's the same with someone who has a 4-inch pipe going into their business. They're going to have periods where they're using a lot of water for that whatever process they're running, and you have to size your water and wastewater systems in order to accommodate that demand. So how do we charge fairly for that? Because while they might not be using that much more water, they're using a lot of it in a short period of time through a larger pipe, right? That's the idea here. All right, next slide, please. Okay, so you want to calculate that, and you use the house, standard residential house, as your living unit equivalent. So living unit equivalent is not going to affect the houses in your city right now. It would affect anyone that has a larger pipe going into their building than a standard house. Next slide, please. Okay, and if I told you, hey, you got a 1-inch pipe going into your house, right? And then your neighbor has a 2-inch pipe going in your house, you say, well, 1 inch, 2 inch, right? There's a 1-inch difference. He's basically doubling his water capacity, right? 1 inch to 2 inch. That's not the way that works, because that 2 inches for the entire length from the water plant to the residence or to the building, there's a lot more water in a 2-inch pipe. So you see over here on the lower right corner, the living unit equivalent, where a 1-inch pipe, because they use 5/8 as a standard for a residence, that's 1. You guys would use 3/4 if that's the one that you use the most often. A 1-inch pipe would be a 2.5 living unit equivalent, and a 2-inch pipe, it's geometric, it would be an 8, a living unit equivalent of 8, which means your base charge should more closely be 8 times on a 2-inch pipe than it would be for your typical residence. If you have pipes out here that are 4 inches or 6 inches, you can see the big difference, because you have to size everything in your system to be able to provide that 4-inch pipe and that 6-inch pipe with the demand that they can demand at any time during the day or night. So that's what the American Water Works Association and the state of Texas tells you you should be doing this. Very few cities are doing that. Your bigger ones, Austin, Cedar Park, Leander, those bigger cities and bigger metropolitans, they're already doing this. Most of your rural cities don't do this. Next slide, please. Okay, so we looked at your meters. We got your billing records and looked at your meters. You can see there's 1,619 of the 5/8 meters out here. And then we looked, how many 1-inch do you have? How many 2-inch, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, right? And you see there's not a lot of them. But we said, what if you charged the equivalent amount, an appropriate amount, to those buildings and people and businesses that have the larger pipes? If you just standardize on a living unit equivalent, right? That would generate $270,000 a year in revenue for you to maintain and upgrade your water and your wastewater system. So right now, right, if you look at the other side of the coin, your residents are subsidizing your larger water users. They're paying that 1,800 people that you talked about, Mr. Miller. The residents are paying a greater share of the infrastructure than the businesses that have the bigger pipes. Simple example that everybody here will recognize. You got 18-wheelers that drive up and down this road every day. That 18-wheeler is big and it's heavy and it wears out that road a heck of a lot faster than my passenger car or your F-150. So we charge truckers a higher road tax because they put more wear and tear on a road. I don't want to subsidize the big trucks. I want them to pay for the use of the road that they use. I'll pay for the use of the road that I use. That's all we're talking about with the living unit equivalent. Okay? So what does $270,000 do? Well, next slide, please. And that's going to go up as you increase your water rates. What did you say, Mr. Cook? 2.5%?
I think that's what.
Right? As you increase it, okay, thank you. Over a 20-year period, that's $7 million in additional revenue to the city. Right? That 270 grows every year by a percentage, and if the city grows, if you grow your residents, right, then it'll go up even more than that. What you can do as a council, you can say, hey, we're going to adopt this, phase it in, and then you, if you want, you can take some portion of that $7 million, and there's no cost to do this. You can do a living unit equivalent for $0. But you can capture that money and use it for infrastructure upgrades anywhere within the city through a design build, and using Texas Code 302 will allow you to capture that and do improvements to the city. So that $30 million infrastructure need that the city has and the budget that is not there, there's 7 of it right there. Okay, next slide, please. So if this is something that you want to take under advisement, what you guys would do, what the council would do, is you would sit down and say, let's see about implementing the living unit equivalents, put it into action, right? Start the billing, and if you want to, capture that money and use it in ways that benefit the city, then you can just put it out. We'd be happy to help you put a project together to meet those identified needs. And you could get that funded through the additional revenue you're going to pick up through the LUEs. And that is our presentation. I'm open for any questions. Yes, sir.
Okay, I was studying your ground earlier today and such, so it all makes perfect sense. However, if you look at in our city, we have 66 2-inch meters.
Okay, there we go. My bad. And so obviously that's mostly commercial and things like that.
Yes.
So they would clearly bear the brunt of this projected, well, let's just say 270,000 that you mentioned. So my concern would be how this might turn someone away from our town to come here. Like for example, if we're trying to do this and nobody else in our area is doing it, it's obviously going to be a benefit for that area for business to go over there.
Yes.
So, I mean, just how, okay, I thought I heard you say earlier that not very many people are doing this.
Not enough cities. Your major metropolitans are doing it, like
Yeah.
Austin does at Cedar Park. And,
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, the basis behind it is perfect, except, boy, it's a tough one here.
Agreed.
So,
Yes,
yeah.
sir. So here's the balance, right? Okay, I can go down the road and find a city that charges me less for water with a deteriorating water system.
Oh, yeah.
With leaks and challenges and problems versus I can pay a little more, but I know I'm going to have a guaranteed system that's going to be there when I need it, and that's my business grows.
Well, correct.
Right? That's the balance
Right.
point, right?
And we're actually in that stage in our city trying to accomplish just that.
Yes.
Okay, because in our opinion, if we have a better infrastructure, we can attract more businesses and so forth, plus more housing and on down the line.
Correct.
Especially up towards 35, okay, which is what we were talking about earlier with our LC Martin Well and all that. So, but anyway, I mean, it just kind of stood out. So and then you have, so in this chart, the base rate would triple, right? And then of course, their water usage is going to remain whatever it is by us.
Correct.
And then I think, well, we have one 8-inch meter in town, and I know who that is. They would not be happy. So that's the equivalent of 80 LUEs, right? So, yeah.
Well, I think one of the things is like the larger metropolitan areas that you're mentioning already have a strong business demand, a commercial demand. The big companies want to be there. They're going to be more willing to go a little farther. We're still way down here, like all of us here. The nice thing about this council is we're very pro-business growth. We want to see that growth. The last thing we want to do is do anything that comes off as being anti-commercial. I mean, it really is. And so, and people like it or not, I mean, we kind of got the unfortunate task because of COVID and everything else, and those water rates weren't raised in several years, and we got the unfortunate task of taking that on. I think because we're in such a pro-growth, we don't have a lot of commercial business here, which you've got in your report. I just think that would be I see exactly what you're saying, and I even agree with it, but I don't think we're in a high enough demand. There's not enough demand for commercial here to be able to pull that off successfully, I don't think. Not when we have other communities like Lytle and Natalia that are already grabbing a lot of businesses. So that's my concern as well.
And it's a fair concern.
Yeah.
Mr. Ritchie, were you about to say something?
Do you have any long-term or even medium-term transition plans? To Jeff's point there, as we all know, we need to switch more to sales tax rather than property tax. We're waiting for that to disappear one of these legislative years. but we can't just flip it on overnight. Businesses are already reluctant to come here. We already saw our properties at a discount to even out the county. So how do we transition to a point where we're relieving our citizens of that tax burden and utility burden and place it more on the businesses, but the businesses have to come first?
Agreed. Mr. Ritchie, I have these conversations with lots of city managers, and I had one this week, and I don't remember if it was Lago Vista or Edna, I don't remember who it was, I'm sorry. But they implemented LUVs, but instead of just the gut punch of, let's
phase it,
right? They phased it 25%, right? And the council came up with a plan to implement it over time. So I'll add a couple of things for your consideration. We recently commissioned a report on 5 critical trends that are affecting Texas cities. And the number 1 trend was population growth. So the state, we are now one of only 2 states that have more than 30 million people. So California's number 1 at 38 million. We're over 30 million for the first time, right? Second largest in population in the United States. We've added 9 million people since 2000. And the state is saying we're gonna double population by 2060, right? So most of that growth is not happening down the road in Tilly or in Alice or in Beeville. It's happening around San Antonio and Austin, and it's a concentric circle, and you guys are next. Right? We were just at Natalia, and he's telling us they're going to put in 1,700 new houses. That's the. I'm sorry, Lyle. Thank you. Sorry. Yeah, we were in Lyle. Yeah. And their growth plan is that they already have 1,300 houses now. They're going to get 1,700 as the developers will begin. You're next.
Well, you are definitely right in that. TxDOT has made it very well aware of their intentions, like 3 lanes both ways and all this. Right through Devine.
Yes, sir.
So my thing would be, because our legislature always likes to give us things, mandates and such, right? For example, the lead and copper lines from the main to the houses right now. But is there any chatter in the legislature possibly about some way to, it reminds me of years ago when I was on the city council and I wanted to pass a no smoking ordinance in the restaurants here in town. Okay, a lot of people complained about going to a certain establishment, and right then the owner said, no way, we'll lose a lot of our business. It's just, but the only way we'll do it is if every other restaurant in town does it, and such. So as it turned out, when they finally went non-smoking, they made a lot more money, because a lot more people came because they didn't have to breathe all the smoke. So, but I mean, is there any chatter about that at all, to where the legislature can encourage cities to do this?
I haven't heard, Mr. Cook, I have not heard of any legislative initiatives to have cities implement this. So it is recommended by Texas Water Development Board. It is recommended, and it's a standard practice from the American Water Works Association. But what I'll tell you is we have right now in Texas a little over $41 billion in identified water infrastructure needs. And our legislators have allocated a little over $19 billion to address those needs. The projection is that need, as many of our water systems went in the 70s, right? Okay. And back in the 70s, the federal government funded 63% of water infrastructure projects. Today, the federal government funds 9% of water infrastructure, right? So the feds don't appear to be coming back to give us more money. The state is saying our infrastructure needs are going to grow to $154 billion, and our state is on track to provide $40 billion of that. Unfortunately, Mr. Miller, you hit the nail on the head, is that the cities are going to increasingly bear the brunt of managing and paying for that infrastructure and the growth that goes along with it, right? And it's a harsh truth, right? So it's that balance. If we raise rates too much, are we not attracting businesses? But if we don't have a reliable infrastructure, we're not attracting businesses. So where this council and the city of Devine finds that balance point, I don't know, but I do know there are some significant challenges. I gather, I'm not from here, but I gather that leadership in the past has kicked the can down the road, and the can's right in front of you right now. right? And some hard decisions, or you guys are making some hard decisions, no doubt about it. So this is a possible, right?
Yeah,
You
it's,
can implement some or all of this. You can do it in a phased approach, Mr. Ritchie, or a percentage approach, however you wanted to do it. Right?
Well, the thing I like is it actually has something to base your decision on. There's kind of like a benchmark here. You got the equivalents and such, so something to base it on and
Yes.
whatever. And we've always kind of struggled with that a little bit too, because a lot of times you pull things out of thin air and then you talk about it and all this and that, right? And then you try. So that's why we had the water rate study done to kind of guide us.
Made sense why you switched this. Yeah.
Right.
And by the way, they mentioned winter averaging, not a recommended practice.
Yeah, we know.
Yeah. So there's some significant revenue there by using winter that you're losing through winter averaging. Yes, sir.
Can I ask, what are your strategies for not charging people for filling a pool, watering plants, or watering their grass even? Because that's not actually impacting your sewer system.
True. I don't have a good answer for that, but I'm gonna, Boo, is that something you can tackle?
Good question, Josh.
Is that a
Well,
question you can handle?
it's not that we don't want the revenue, but we don't want to charge people for something they're not actually getting the value from.
Well, true, because your winter averaging is saying everything's going to the sewage. But still, you're using more water in the summer because we're filling up swimming pools. We're doing other things other than watering our grass, seeking, cooler.
I assure you, my water bill reflects that.
Right, as does mine, right? Because my wife's got a pool and she's using it in the summer, right? So it still is putting a strain and a demand load on your water production, even though it's not going to your waste, not all of it's going to the wastewater. There's still an increased demand on your system, and that's the idea there. You want to add into that?
Yeah, I mean, the simple thing that we see people do is just go ahead and say, what's their usage from October 1 to February 28th, and then base their sewer rates on that as far as usage is what typically is done. It's probably, I wouldn't say it's 100% accurate, but it gets the average pretty darn close. So that would be one of the so that's the recommended way to do that. I'm also going to kind of talk about some of the concerns that y'all addressed to Richard. I've been doing this a while. Y'all probably noticed that already from the wrinkles in the hair. But and I always say I can't forget some of the things I've seen, because I've seen a lot of really bad systems. Y'all are in pretty not terrible shape. So but what I will say is I can tell you what's underground. I can tell you what the sewer plant looks like. I can tell you what the wastewater treatment plant by driving into the town. And that's because what happens is the investment, the businesses, all of that are attracted to towns that have all the infrastructure going, all of that. Those big companies look at that stuff. And I'm not saying y'all have to do this or anything like that. And I know y'all are like on a path to try to get everything working as well as possible. But it's surprising how much that correlates between what I see above ground, how it correlates with what I see underground in sewer and water treatment plants. And so a lot of the cities that Rich mentioned that do this type of building system are also some of the fastest growing in the state. And so there's other reasons why they grow, which y'all have all pointed out, and no argument from me on that. But they're growing their cities, and with that they have a huge amount of infrastructure needs to go along with it. So if you have any more questions.
Other comments? Thank you very much. Appreciate the opportunity to come.
Oh, thank you. I do appreciate all the information. I think it's something that will probably come along sometime in the future for sure.
Thank you.
Thanks a bunch.
Mayor, Council, I just want to bring this to y'all as city administrator. It's my job to bring grants and other opportunities and other modalities of funding to council for consideration. So I just want to get them before you for your knowledge.
What kind of grants are out there for something like this?
What we've been receiving, like Texas Water Development Board grants and things like that. So our lift stations, as I was saying, they're going to need some immediate attention after our after we complete with our water wells. Our water tanks. We need to focus on our lift stations, getting them replaced at some point. We have 3, one's in really bad shape, and the other 2 could be replaced gradually, but they're about $1 million plus a piece, so just something to consider. And I want to put it on the radar right now before the council for consideration for funding.
Because the question that kind of got me was when he said that he's been to other towns and he's seen the infrastructures, and, you know, he was like hesitant of saying how bad or how good or mediocre we are. I don't want to be in a situation in 10 years from now. I don't want to be like the other towns that they're not doing this, you know? I want to be the first one to jump into it and, hey, let's see if we can make those other towns, you know, regret from what the decision they make. I don't want to regret the decision. So, you know, I mean, it's a big deal.
Astute observation, important thing. I mean, this is a thing I'm looking at is, looking at real estate. East Medina, they don't want anything to do with desalination. Well, that's a mark against it for looking at that future growth. A lot of companies look at that sort of stuff. An astute homeowner or someone who wants to do any development is going to look at that sort of stuff. So I totally concur with you, Mike.
The good news is we have been looking at all that, increasing our water resources. And so, I just think that because of what's happened, they alluded to a lot of the growth that's going on. It's come up so fast in the last, 10 years. It's been pretty amazing. Even in the last 5 years, if you just look at our little section of I-35 here, it's unbelievable what's going on. And so that's what we've been saying all along is, hey, the bulldozer is coming down the road from San Antonio, and we can either put our heads in the sand and pretend like it's not happening and get run over, or we can try to take a stand here and make sure that when it's all said and done and the dust settles and they continue down I-35, we didn't just get left with a pile of rubble of mishmash of no planning.
Well, see, that's why Lila's behind the point right now.
Yeah.
Exactly. This happened 5, 6, 7 years ago, and look where they're sitting at.
I know.
In 5, 6, 7 years, we could be the same way, sitting in the same boat that Lidl's in. That's what I'm saying. We probably gonna have to look into this.
Oh, yeah.
Two comments real quick. I talked to a city, I'm not gonna say their name, but I talked to a city 5 years ago that had amongst the worst challenges, infrastructure, water, wastewater, that I have personally dealt with. And we suggested, hey, you're losing 60% of the water that you pump. It's not being billed to the residents. You're losing it through bad billing, bad meters, leaks, all this. And the council punted. It was $1 million to fix the meters, and put in an AMR, and do some other things. It would have solved that problem. That was 5 years ago, and they punted. I went and saw them a couple of weeks ago to do the same job today. It's $2.2 million. Everything is getting more expensive. If you made $53,000 in 2020, 5 years ago, if you made $53,000 as your income, you'd have to make $100,000 today to have the exact same standard of living that you did 5 years ago because of inflation, right? That's not going away. So you cannot do this. It's entirely up to you. It just won't get any less expensive. So that's comment one. Comment two, what you could do is you could implement a LUE a little bit, just enough to pay for those critical lift stations. Instead of trying to generate $7 million, generate $2 million. That would be a far smaller hit economically, and you can phase it in over time, but it would allow you to fix those lift stations, which are critical to your water production.
I think too, we want to get to the point where we can actually see what our results are, because we just gave everybody a little bit of whiplash with some of the rate increases. So we need to have a chance to let get a better picture of the data, where we're at. It certainly is good to think. I mean, I appreciate y'all giving the presentation, but in my opinion, we need to wait and see how we're coming out with the current increases we have, and then at that point we're ready to plan for how are we going to move forward from there. Yeah.
Okay. This is part of a bigger strategy we haven't been able to come to workshops on. We've been talking about for a long time, which is a whole total community revamp of how we look at things, which is we've got these abandoned buildings, especially commercial in the downtown center, we're not aggressively getting after. And it's not to say we're not trying, but with a very focused effort of, hey, I don't want to say any names, but hey, so-and-so, your building's been missing a window for the last 2 years. Do it now. And, I mean, you're aggressively, following the legal steps, but also the personal steps, the community pressure, and getting after all the vacant houses throughout here. We should have someone at least part-time for city staff. How can I help you bulldoze that building? How can I help you make this look good? I don't want to say no. I don't want to say you have to fill out these forms. I'll fill them out for you. Let's just really aggressively get after clean it up, because then we can attract people, and this makes a lot more sense to just integrate into our annual water rate increase of, okay, these businesses are going to do a 7%, or these meter sizes 7% versus the 2% for municipal 3/4 inch, what have you.
And that's some of those issues you were just talking about were actually in the last meeting. We talked a lot about the commercial buildings, and we were presented with the actual codes that are already on the books that we just decided as a council need to be enforced.
Anybody here drive to TML for the TML meeting in Fort Worth, most recent one? Okay, so I drove up. I'm out of Buda. So I drive up 35. I go through Hillsborough, right? There's a outlet mall that's abandoned.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, it's abandoned?
The citizens put up a billboard that said, Hillsborough, tear down this mall, to get the city to move, to get rid of the eyesore because it's hurting the economic growth of Hillsborough. Same idea that you
That was in this past year then.
Yeah, I just, when did we go?
It just happened 2 weeks ago.
October. I saw that they had started demolition on because it's been there a long time. Right, Mr. Goode, right?
Yeah, I haven't been up that way in years, so.
They were tearing it down, and I can see the bulldozers out there, so the billboard worked, but, they're making an investment in the infrastructure to be more attractive to that population growth.
But Josh, like you said, we've talked about it before, about, we got 4% here, 2%. This is an actual benchmark, something that we can use and be consistent, and it makes great sense. And you can also validate the reason why you're using it.
I don't disagree. I hate pointing at stuff and say this is why I made a decision. But I get what you're saying. It just has to be part of a bigger strategy.
Oh, sure.
We're still just nitpicking little areas, and we're missing the bigger problems. The reason people don't want to buy and develop here. The cost is less than optimal, but if it's a beautiful place, people have no problem paying a crap ton of money in Bernie because it's well kept. And so we have, the can has been kicked down the road forever. People who wag their finger and say, I've been doing this for 35 years. Well, there's a reason. There's a busted down single wide just rotting there because you let it happen. And I'm not saying we want to make anyone homeless, but that's, phase 3 or 4 of, okay, this house is no longer inhabitable. Here's another place for you to go. This is done. But in the meantime, there's a lot of empty buildings we have to aggressively get after. And us getting on the phone, hey, something's really got to be done with this. It's more than just making city staff go after them. It's us getting on the phone as councilmen. Hey, we're really making an effort. We're focusing on this part of town right now. This is our deadline to get it done. How can we help you? How can I help you as a councilman? How can we help you as a city? How can the staff help you get this accomplished to really move the ball forward? Instead of just talking about it and being frustrated, or again, sticking the city staff on it who are, they shouldn't be the ones going after the neighbors. We should be. And it's not in an angry way. It's in a, hey, we're trying to make our town better. How can I help you?
Well, that actually leads into something else that we've been discussing here lately, as far economic development and so forth. And you're absolutely right. It needs to be a multifaceted approach, and with a clear goal in mind, and so forth. And so it might be getting off topic, but there are ways to create more to where you have more revenue for economic development, but you got to have an election for it. So, but anyway, these are all things that we're working on. Unfortunately, a lot of these things move slowly, but we are making some progress without a doubt. So, but then you got to have the property owners have to work with you. You can't, okay, like one of the places you're talking about. Oh, I'm going to restore that like it used to be. In the meantime, we're going to look at an eyesore here. It's crazy. But anyway, it's not for lack of effort. We're getting after it. Thanks again.
Yeah, I want to bring this back again, look at it again.
Yeah, we might want to let the...
Going up 3 to 4% every year, it's not going to get us anywhere. It's just going to put us at a certain level.
I think the dust needs to settle first on this increase first to see where we stand and then implement it. a partial.
I just think the shot needs to settle, you know. Yeah, so, all right, moving on, agenda item number 10. Consider and act upon approving the AEP. Oh, my bad, I scratched off the wrong one. It's been a while since I've done that. I was doing so well at it. Excuse me, please, in the TV land. Agenda item number 9. Consider and act upon approving the variable frequency drive installation for the Devine Golf Course Pump House. And I believe you have your,
Mr. Mayor, this came back from the actual, excuse me?
what on waterworks?
Isn't this exactly what he presented at the last meeting?
Yes, sir, it is.
Yeah.
And it didn't make
Looks
the
the
agenda,
same.
so, right.
Yeah.
Didn't make the agenda, so now it's on the agenda for your approval. It's the variable frequency drive for the pump in the front of the golf course.
I remember we discussed this the last time, and I will make a motion that we approve the work to be done by Well Done Waterworks with the estimate of work to be done at $32,990.31.
All right, before I recognize that motion, I do have a quick question, David. I thought we were talking about a change order of $15,000. Am I mistaken?
Yes, the variable frequency drive is articulated right here on the invoice.
Okay, so it's
itemized.
around there.
So, right? So that's what we're looking at.
And David, does this require a budget amendment? Or is it already budgeted? I can't remember.
It exceeded the 80,000.
Yes, part of that.
It exceeded.
Yes, it exceeded the 80,000 that was originally approved by a couple thousand.
So we do need to amend?
So the last one was 63, wasn't it?
Yes, 63. I think it was a total
Oh, there you
of like
go.
14,000.
That's what I was thinking of.
14,000 they exceeded.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Okay.
So we're okay then?
Okay, please repeat the motion, Jeff, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I was going to ask that, but you were right on it, buddy.
No, I just, I moved that we go ahead and approve the work to be done at the golf course by Well Done Waterworks, and with the invoice presented and the total amount of the work to be $32,990.31.
All right, we have a motion from Jeff to approve the invoice presented in the amount of $32,990.31 by Well Done Waterworks.
I'll second.
We have a second from Michael. Further discussion? All in favor? Motion passes 5-0. All right, agenda item number 10. Consider and act upon approving the AEP lighting replacement project. David, you're on again.
Yes, sir, Mayor and Council. As y'all aware, y'all articulated the desire to light up the city as part of Operation Get Lit. So what Mr. Hernandez requested that we get with AEP and see what it costs to change the lighting that we currently have over the city to LED lighting. So we currently have 266 lights. The cost at $137.86 per light would be a total of $39,427.96. Those are the current existing lights that we have in the city. We have also had requests for additional locations throughout the city that are coming in. We sent to AEP for lighting. Some of them have existing light poles, and some of them do not. So, but the initial item is brought back for Mr. Alderman Hernandez requested to see what it would cost to light the city up with LED lights across the city with the existing lights. The total is $39,427.96.
So that's also about what we talked about. I think we were talking about 42,000.
42.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll make a motion on approving the AEP lighting replacement project for the $39,427.96.
Yeah, I'll second the motion.
Okay, I'm sorry, guys, I was in deep thought. Could you hear the noise? Okay, we have a motion from Michael to approve the lighting replacement projects with AEP in the amount of $39,427. And we also have a second from Jeff. Discussion. I did have something I wanted to ask about. So this particular amount is just to replace the existing fixtures with LED lights.
Yes.
Okay. I also had a concern, I think, and you did too, Michael, about some existing areas in town we need more lighting. So I really thought that was going to be the focus of this project, was the areas that need more lighting. So,
Well, it's supposed to be too, so, because we added some lights to certain neighborhoods, didn't we?
Right, so we had multiple requests from councilors as well as citizens. So Gutierrez, Webb, Ross, Griffin, East Thompson, Adams, and Hester, and some other streets have been requested to have lighting placed there as well. And as I was saying, some of them have light poles already in place, and some of them would require actual light pole to be added. So
would that be included in this amount?
No, these are new ones.
It's completely separate of
Correct.
the motion just made.
Correct. So these are, we had our law enforcement go drive around at nighttime to identify areas in the city that was super dark, that needed lighting, and then we've had citizens requests for lighting, as well as requests from the city council individual, like Councilor Gonzalez, Alderman Gonzalez, and so forth, for different locations.
All right. Okay, and another question I had, David, is I presume there would be substantial savings as far as electricity used if these are all brought up to current standards?
Correct. LED lighting is more efficient.
A lot less.
A lot less efficient than our current existing lighting.
The total charges per month, it's a lot less.
Is there an ability to put dark sky compliant shades on them? Essentially, that's just to direct the light downward to reduce light pollution.
There's an ability, I have to get a quote on what it would cost, but yes, sir.
Just curious.
Are LEDs more
Trying to save the
focused?
bugs or what?
Not necessarily. I mean, it's all the how you have like the foil behind it that directs the light. A lot of times, street lights are meant to go out a lot to provide maximum luminescence. So you've got to find a balance there of how do we aim it downward enough but still outward enough. I don't even know if those two overlap. It might be completely contrary to one another. I'm only familiar with it.
They just installed one, can't remember what street it's on, a new LED, man, and it just, I mean, that pole sits right here in the center, I think it dynamics almost the whole building or something like that. It's pretty bright.
Because
It's pretty spread out.
We are going to get complaints.
Yes.
There's a lot more light.
It's too light,
Regardless,
it's
I
too
mean,
bright.
it's more about safety now. I mean, you got people running right now in dark clothes. I mean, it's crazy. I mean,
Okay,
I don't understand it.
back on the topic. Okay, those are the concerns I had. Are there any other discussion? Okay, once again, we had a motion from Jeff, seconded from Michael. Right?
The other way around.
Oh, I'm sorry. Motion from Michael, seconded by Jeff. All right. All in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Congratulations, AEP.
Let there be light.
Right? Project Get Lit. I like that.
Installing something new down here.
Right, hey. Well, they're having fun down there in Devine, aren't they? All right, agenda item number 11, consider and approve bids received on the TX CDBG, contract number CDV 23-0290, on our new water well project. If I'm not mistaken, David, this is the one that needs to be redone, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so the agenda should have read to basically deny because we didn't get proper bids.
Right, I have a comment I need to read here from the, so we went out for bids, as y'all may be aware, for the well, the new well that was supposed to be dug out at the Warhorse Tower. We have actually signed off on that property also as an update, and we now own that property. So the transaction is done. We went out for bids, sent out bids, advertised it in the paper and then CIPCAST, which is the worldwide internet for civil engineers for bidding and so forth. We got the bids, but the person that bid was not qualified for the bid, so we have to actually reject this particular bid and go out again next year, advertise again next year for the bid. There's multiple people, just so you know, it's $400,000 with a 25% contingency, so technically around $500,000 total. Multiple people looked at this particular project. However, due to the small size and when it costs, when you're talking about digging a well, you're talking about $1.5 to $2 million. So due to the minimum amount of money right now, it's believed by our engineer and others that that's why people didn't necessarily bid on it at this particular time. So we have to, City Council has to officially reject this bid. We'll take the minutes back to our grant administrator, and then we can rebid this project again next year after the new year. So then the bid also is in phases, so that was one of the concerns that some people had. So maybe we might have to rewrite how it's written up.
All right, Council.
So in conclusion, the council will have to reject this bid so we can go back out for a bid next year for this particular item.
I make a motion, we reject the bid on Texas CDBG contract number Charlie Delta Victor 23-0290 new water well project.
All right, we have a motion from Josh to reject the bid received.
I'll second it.
Wait a minute, let me ask. Charlie Delta Victor, I like that, I got it. Anyway, on the said contract, we have a second from Ray. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Okay, agenda item number 12, consider and act upon appointing Joe Jones to the Parks and Rec and Emergency Management Board. Jeff, I'll let you have the mic.
Well, in a minute, I'm gonna let Joe have the mic because Joe had talked to me. He's my next door neighbor. Joe and Sandy moved in there into that property at 412 Moore and have made numerous improvements. They've really become a part of the neighborhood, and I believe Sandy has family connections here to Devine. And but Joe had talked to me earlier about if there was ever a need for anything like, especially involving emergency management and so forth, that he would be very interested. I think his background really lends itself to this really well. We all want to see both of these areas, be aggressive and move forward to benefit the whole community. So Joe, would you mind coming up there and just telling us a little bit about yourself? Like I said, I think he's a perfect fit for the board.
Thank you, Councilman. My name's Joe Jones. I'm retired educator, administrator, and I've served on emergency management boards in New Braunfels prior to this, been 20 years ago. But I know what it takes. It takes a lot of planning and a lot of discussion and a lot of things that people need to consider when you're dealing with that is be prepared. I've got a real concern about our railroad that comes through our town, and thank God we haven't had any accidents since, 78? Was it 78 when the bad accident happened at the overpass?
That was in 94, early 90s.
Well, it's been a few years back.
Yes, sir.
But we need to be prepared in case something happens. You see it on TV, these big trains that have accidents. And my father was a railroader, so I know a lot about railroads as well. But not only that, the Parks and Recreation, I would feel honored to be able to serve to that as well, because we need to take care of our kids. And idle hands are a devil workshop. And if we can get our kids involved, coming to our parks and utilizing them in the right way, would be a big plus. And I think I can lend you a hand there as well. So,
Well said.
I too am a fan of Protestant ethics of capitalism. Question for you. Snow bid happened, we ran out of power, couldn't pump water. How would you handle that?
That's a good question that the committee would need to answer, but, you know, obviously you can't run a school without water, and homes have to have water for everything.
That's all right. You don't have to have a good question. I would encourage you make some inroads to VFW, and we've got some veterans around here that know how to get in touch with the Guard Reserves to bring on stuff in.
Yes, definitely. Yes, definitely. I know how I would handle it. I've got a well at my house. I'm fortunate. And Jeff's laughing. He has one too. So.
Well, and Joe, you're, you know, on the Parks and Rec side, you have a background in coaching as well too.
I do.
You're used to working around that environment, so I think that's a very
yes. I've spent many evening coaching and practices. Games and all that kind of stuff.
We just, this last year, made a lot of improvements out at Curcio Park, and that's over on this side of town.
Yes.
And I think they're in the process of adding a soccer field over there now, but we added pavilions and so forth. And I mean, I still, you know, I think all of us want to see more development of some areas. We might even, you know, be able to look at some new areas. It's just something that I think we need to look at, making it more active. It's just like our library system here has gotten, you know, they've had so little to work with, and but that is a very vibrant library we have in this town, and I think if we got it more of our kids involved in some activities, some planned activities, and things, that'd be great. So
it would.
That's my pitch for Joe. Is he just has a lot of background, and even as an administrator, he gets it as far as emergency management is like a daily activity when you're on a high school campus. So
yes, very much so. Yeah.
Joe, I think it's just great that you're stepping up.
Well, thanks.
Okay, we need a lot more of that in this town.
Well, I live here, and this is my community as well.
Yes,
and
sir.
I need to do that my part as well.
So it's my pleasure to make a motion that we approve the appointment of Joe Jones to the Parks and Rec and Emergency Management Board.
All right, we have a motion from Jeff to approve the appointment of Joe Jones to our Parks and Rec and Emergency Management Board.
I'll second.
Second from Michael. All in favor? Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Joe.
Aboard.
Sorry y'all had to wait so long.
Agenda item number 13, consider and act upon the use of the certificate of deposit that matures in December from the sale of the Devine Gas Company. David?
Mayor and council, we have a certificate of deposit in the bank that matures December 26th. The city has 10 days from December 26th to let the bank know if you want to continue, allow it to keep it in the bank to in its current state, or to take it out and reinvest it into another investment pool, or to take it out and put it in a general fund or water fund and use it for projects throughout the city. So this is what this item is about.
So what we really need to decide tonight firmly is we just need to decide, do we want to move it out of the CD?
Yes, sir. Or do you want it to roll over again?
Even if that was like a temporary move, you know, because the council could also decide later to put part of it back into a CD.
That's
correct.
Absolutely.
So it'd really be just a matter of like, because we're going to need more time. I mean, I know I sent you a suggestion that we could use some of the funds on, and I'll just share that real briefly. Is like, one of the things I recommended is that perhaps if we're already spending the money to improve the facade on the front of our city hall, which I think is important, we want to set the example here. We're talking about cleaning up the commercial areas of our town. Well, you know, we just purchased the other building on the property, and it already looks pretty bad. We'll wait until we improve the front of the city hall. It's going to look a lot worse. So I really feel like if there's ways to improve the exterior, and really whatever we want to talk about plans for the interior of that building, it would be wise of us to do that at the same time, so they look like they're part of the same entity, and and make it safer. Maybe there's some things we can do there, but the corner of that property is important, it's very visible. And I feel like, and I'm sure there are other things. I know we visited about, or was it Mike? We visited even about our community center here. It's very dark out here. The front of the building could use perhaps a refresh, some new planters, maybe we want to paint the facade. I mean, there's a lot of discussions we could have, but I think as a city, if we do our part, then we're setting an example. Then it's not hypocritical of us to put pressure on others. And I don't know about you, but even in my neighborhood, I have seen there's people like Joe, who you just met, and myself, and a few others who have made enormous investments in cleaning up the properties that we own in the older section of town. Well, it catches on. If you're cleaning up your property, pretty soon you see a lot of other people doing it too. And I feel like this could be something that could, be an incentive for other people to kind of get excited about it too, and say, hey, well, mine's not looking so hot either.
Yeah, I strongly agree.
So, might I suggest that we release the funds, we free the funds up, okay? And these great ideas that you have, and I'm sure, and Michael has a few, obviously, everybody has great ideas. Perhaps we can get those submitted to David, try and get a ballpark figure of the expense.
Yeah.
Right, and then we can go from there. But as far as tonight, it seems like all we need to do is just release the funds.
Then I have no problem making that motion to release the funds from the CD to place, and I'm not sure what is the appropriate fund that would be placed in.
Since it came from the water department, we could put it in the water fund just to keep everything clean, as far as auditing for auditing purposes. And we could, gas. It came from the gas.
And that won't tie into being spent on water issues?
No, it won't.
Because those funds can be transferred, I'm guessing.
Right. Exactly. Spoken to the auditor about it, and that was their recommendation.
Okay, so I can make my motion that we release the funds from the CD and place it in our city's water fund.
Right, we have a motion from Jeff to cash in the CD, the certificate of deposit that matured in December from the sale of the Devine Gas Company, and also deposit it into the Public Works Fund at this time. The water fund? You can't combine them? Okay, the water fund, not the sewer.
I'll second.
All right, we have a second from Michael. Discussion? All in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Perhaps by next meeting we can have some solid ideas from you guys.
Oh, I got some.
Get them to us as soon as you can. Okay. All right. Agenda item number 14. Consider and act upon renaming of the bank accounts we have at Security State Bank. David, Sophia, and what David, you got it covered.
Right.
We don't
yes.
have Sophia checking in, do we?
No, sir. She's
Okay.
here. So as referenced in the request for proposal, the City of Devine implemented the pool cash and consolidated existing bank accounts as part of our financial management improvement. Y'all voted on that, and so to support this initiative, we propose utilizing the existing accounts payable bank account as a central pooled cash account, and then to accurately reflect its new function, we are recommending renaming the account from accounts payable to pooled cash.
Makes perfect sense, and that's something that we've talked about that was a long time
Yeah,
ago.
we've been working on this a little while.
Yeah.
It takes time.
It does take time.
I'll make a motion, we rename the accounts as stated.
We have a motion from Josh to rename our bank accounts to Security State Bank as stated.
I'll second it.
Second from Ray. All in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Okay, agenda item number 15. Discuss and act upon the resignation of one of our aldermen. Never had to deal with this kind of thing before. I don't know if I announced it or if I let him do it. Do you have any preference? No, actually, I tell you what, our distinguished councilman Josh Ritchie, okay, will be resigning after our January meeting. He will be moving out of the city. This is an absolutely wonderful letter here. I don't know if I should read it. Should I read it?
You can read it.
You want me to read it?
No.
I'm on Josh Street, is what I'm saying. I like Josh Street. Josh, you got a copy of it?
I do, thank you.
He gives the cliff notes.
The Honorable City Council, distinguished staff, and citizens of Devine, it has been a profound honor and at times a humbling challenge to serve the City of Devine as Alderman for District 4 over the past 4 years. I embarked on this journey driven by a genuine desire to serve my community and, indeed, by determination to advance policies that would better reflect our shared values and aspirations for progress, while most importantly limiting government growth and reducing overreach, if you hadn't been able to tell by my votes. I'm gratified that we have accomplished just the substantial and meaningful work in modernizing the operations governance of our municipality. We have deliberately and conscientiously moved our city toward a future grounded in equality and forward-looking vision, rather than remaining tethered to the constraints of our past. In the words of Thomas Jefferson, the price of freedom is eternal vigilance, a principle I believe must guide our continued stewardship of this community. I remain prayerful that we shall continue to garner members of our community stepping forward with servant hearts and the moral courage necessary to make difficult decisions in service to our town's greater good. Even when such choices prove unpopular or controversial, the strength of a municipality lies not in unanimity, but in a willingness of its citizens to engage thoughtfully and compassionately in the work of self-governance. While circumstances necessitate my departure somewhat earlier than originally anticipated, I depart with profound appreciation for the opportunity to have served. Should the city ever wish to benefit from my perspective, experience, or counsel in any capacity, I would consider it a distinct honor to continue contributing to Devine's continued growth and success. Now, if I can throw something on before I give my official date, oddly enough, my greatest appreciation working on this council and learning a lot about politics was working with Debbie Randall. We fought like cats and dogs, disagree on just about everything, but she really taught me the value of someone you just cannot see eye to eye with no matter how hard you try, but really appreciating the perspective and the intensity that person brings for the betterment of the community. Even we could have just gotten a fist fight half the time, but I know you're listening, Debbie, so I genuinely appreciated working with you. And accordingly, I respectfully request that the City of Devine accept my resignation from the Office of Alderman, District 4, effective January 30th, 2026. With sincere gratitude and best wishes. Josh Ritchie.
Well said, Josh, as always. I'd like to say, what I've been on this dais here for about 2.5 years now, and it's been an absolute pleasure working with you. And I really admire the perspective that you bring, which is very unique. But I mean that as a sincere compliment, okay? The same way with everyone else. I think this is a great panel we have here. I really do. I love all the different perspectives. Everybody's here for the right reasons. And Josh, I know you are too. Okay, so my thanks to you as the mayor and also a friend. I believe we need a motion to accept his resignation. Oh, I'm sorry, you can't leave, Josh. We might have a motion.
Can we table this?
I can talk to that broker, you know.
Yeah, I'll make the motion of accepting the resignation. Oh, hold on.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I just wanted to inform the council that, we have to comply with state law. And state law says that if Josh submits his resignation, then either we can accept it now, his resignation now, or we can wait until 8 days, and by statute, the resignation will be effective. Now, that doesn't relieve Josh of his duties. The Constitution says that until a replacement is found for Josh, he continues to hold that seat. Okay?
Wow, that's interesting. So his resignation letter says effective January 30th, 2026. That's can't do that.
No, can't do that.
Interesting. Well, that wasn't done before, was it? Or was it? I guess it was, because he got replaced the same night.
Oh, you're talking about
Stacy.
David
Stacy.
David resigned, and I think that his replacement was appointed that night.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And so, if the council desires to go ahead and accept his resignation, that's fine. You don't have to come up with an appointment tonight. You don't have to come up with an appointment until the end of his term. I mean, you can leave the seat vacant.
Well, that's the next agenda item.
Okay, but Josh he still has the same duties and obligations until a replacement is found for his position. I mean, he can not come to the meetings, I mean, but that's his choice.
But you're still on the website, man.
I'm not running again.
Well, then, do we wait to accept his resignation?
Really wouldn't matter. would it?
No, well, you can have a choice, whatever you want to, you know.
But it really wouldn't matter, would it?
No, either, if you wait past 8 days since the time that he submitted his resignation to the council, by law, it's going to be effective. His resignation will be effective.
Yeah.
But it's not going to, his resignation is going to be effective. It's not going to wait until January 30th to become effective.
But he'll still have the responsibilities
Yes.
until, so I think the
If we
motion
wait
is
8
good.
days, if we wait 8 days to accept his resignation?
No, if you wait 8 days, by law, it is accepted.
Oh,
Okay.
oh, whether we accept it or not?
You can accept it right now,
Yes.
yes, or you can wait 8 days
Just let it become.
and let it become effective by law.
I mean, I did send it December 11th, so
Well, Josh, I'm glad you brought that up, because you have until the time that the council actually accepts your resignation, or the 8 days, you can always withdraw your resignation.
Which is only 3 days from now.
Yeah. So you still have that option, Josh, but if they accept it now, all right, then that's over.
Just go ahead, that's it. I think it's fine.
So then, if we accept his resignation now, he can still serve at the next meeting?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Which is the intent here?
I think so. I mean, that's the way I'm reading this. He wanted to be part of the council until the end of January.
Correct.
Now, Josh, if you move out of the city, then you lose your eligibility to serve, because then you don't meet the qualifications to fill that seat.
well, that is the intent here. By mid-January, I should be moved the whole way out.
Yeah. Okay. So I recommend we accept his resignation.
Yeah.
Okay, Michael, you may proceed.
All right, I make a motion that we accept Josh's resignation of the alderman for District, what's it, 4? 4? District 4.
All right, we have a motion from Michael to accept Josh's resignation as alderman of District 4.
Can I second that motion?
I'll second
I
that.
guess you could. All right, we have a second from Ray.
You could have made the motion, man.
I missed an opportunity.
Okay, all in favor? Motion passes 5-0.
Could have voted against it.
So technically, when you move out of the city, when you're sleeping over there, you're done. Anyway,
Yep, it was a pleasure serving with you, Josh.
definitely.
Sometimes I didn't understand you. I felt like Hoppy and Smitty, man. From Sanford and Son. You know?
All right, that brings us to agenda item number 16. In the same vein, discuss establishing procedures for the appointment of an alderman when one resigns. This was my thing. I don't know, let's see, Josh, you were here when I got elected. Everybody else is new. Okay, well, Michael, you were there that night. But anyway, in the past for the city of Devine, there has been several different ways of doing this, because he'll have you come up in May, right? Okay, so we've got like 4 or 5 months there, okay, to where you can wait for the next election to have somebody run. You can appoint someone in the meantime, or you can leave it vacant until the election, okay? But in the past, things have happened like to where they put it out in the public, they receive applications, or there's been just several different ways that I've paid attention to over the years. And I think that we as a panel, we need to have something set that we follow as far as replacing and resigning council person. Okay, so I personally would like to encourage participation of people in the community. I think we should let it be known that Josh is resigning. Okay, and if you're interested in serving the community, apply, so to speak, to the council. Okay, that's just a thought. And then, however, at the same time, you can also impose timeframes in there. For example, if Josh were to resign in February or even March, well, you may want to leave it vacant, okay, until the next election, right? So these are all things I would like council to kind of discuss and throw it out there. You know, obviously, either that or you can just flat out say it remains vacant until the next election. But that would be a real shame if he moved out of the city a year ago.
Yes.
Okay, right, so we have all these things that, yes, there are a lot of variables, but I think as a panel, we can have something set in stone that everybody can follow.
Legal opinion, original lawsuit.
Yeah, Tom, we're asking for your legal opinion.
What was the question?
Well, we want to set something that, it is my desire to have it set in stone, so to speak, as an ordinance or somehow, of how we replace resigning aldermen.
You can do that. You can put it in the form of an ordinance.
Right.
And you can establish whatever procedure that you want to, as long as the person who is ultimately appointed meets the qualifications to fill the seat.
Of course.
Okay?
Yeah.
So you can, Mayor, you can say that we're going to take applications for 2 weeks.
Right.
You know, whatever you want to put in there is.
Right.
Yeah.
So it just seems that it is a tricky situation because you're talking about an unelected position at that point. So it would have to be, that person, or it would have to be advertised as such, like, you know, a temporary, you know, because they would have to run for election in May,
right,
obviously. But I'm like you in that we need to try to work ahead of this, because otherwise we're going to be sitting here this summer and still not have a replacement. You know.
Well, you will have a replacement. Josh, when is your term up?
April or May.
It's May.
You're assuming someone's going to run.
Yes.
We have 64 votes last two elections in my district.
Right.
That's about standard.
So for example, another thing to think about, so let's just say we leave it vacant, okay, and let's just say he's got a year to go instead of 4 months or 5 months. So that, now this may be a stupid thing for me to say, but that could possibly give the mayor more power, okay? And this has been utilized in the past, okay? And so I have no problem breaking ties, okay, but our city government says that the mayor only votes in case of a tie, okay? You know, great, all right, the mayor has other things that we do and so forth and what have you, but somebody could assume that that just gives the mayor more power than what our city intended for him to have, okay? That's off the beaten path a little bit, I understand that, but it is true.
It could have that perception.
Okay, so agendas can be manipulated as such to, in other words, to force a tie, knowing that the mayor is going to break the tie. You follow me? And I don't think we should also have that possibility, to be honest with you. Now, granted, the mayor would be able to do it, let's say if you put in within 6 months. I'm just saying, so for 6 months, the mayor might be able to manipulate a little bit more. And I'm speaking in general. I'm speaking for a time when I'm not the mayor any longer. Okay? You know, I firmly believe in a lot of these principles, which is why I ran for this position. So that was one thing that hit me about all this.
I appreciate the need for a documented process. In the past, it's just been basically magic. This person shows up, they're the replacement. How did anyone come to this conclusion?
Right.
No one voted for this person. Essentially, it would be an appointment by the council, but at least something to put on the agenda of we recommend, or this person has applied, and at least council gets to meet them before they come sit down and start voting. Sounds reasonable.
Well, the other thing that happened, okay, the night I sworn in, okay, so the existing council person basically appointed his replacement. Okay, well, that's all well and good, but I mean, she was a very good council person, don't get me wrong. This has nothing to do with personalities, and I said it at the time, okay? If the existing council person feels strongly about his replacement, that should give weight to the council when they vote to approve or disapprove. Right? That's another point council can consider. Okay, but it shouldn't be the only thing, right?
Yeah.
And so,
So if Josh gives the council a recommendation that does carry weight.
right, for example, Josh may say, hey, I'd like you guys to consider John Doe, all right? He shares my philosophy, he shares my, a lot of the perspectives that I have. He's willing to serve the community, and since we have served with Josh on this panel, that would give that particular nominee, an extra feather in the cap, right? But at least we're putting it out there to where other people can say, hey, I'm interested also, right? Because I know at that time, 2.5 years ago, there were 2 other people interested in that position, okay, who I had spoken to. And I thought they should have been considered by council, and I said it at the time. So, but it's kind of a tricky thing, no doubt. But I think we can make it simple, and I think we can make it fairly easy to follow as long as we do the same thing every time.
I like your idea of putting it out to the public and letting people from District 4 have a chance to say, hey, there's people we probably don't realize,
Exactly, right.
And so I'm all for that.
So here we sit today, okay.
So he should be able to be at the January meeting.
Right.
That's going to be right about that.
Okay. So,
Do you have any anybody to recommend, or did you have anybody, or?
Got my barber has shown interest and a willingness to make some unpopular decisions. Obviously we talked about it's my barber. He showed the willingness though.
So there would be one nominee, okay? I may know some, you may know some. I mean, we lived in this town a long time. We don't just live in the district we represent, right? So, anyway, so here you already got the middle of January, February, March, April. You essentially have 3 council meetings. Okay, that may not be enough to get somebody to come in and serve as interim. But let's figure out what is. I myself, I'm kind of leaning to 6 months.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But then again, also remember, it doesn't have to be when that office is up. For example, he comes up in May. Okay, but let's just say that he resigned a year ago, and even though it's not the election cycle for District 4, it still would be. Okay. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Right. So at the next election.
So then just make a clause that if anybody resigns within 6 months of the.
Of an election.
Next,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That we would
Yeah.
seek applications for that temporary spot.
Yeah, it's actually 5 months because you would have to sign up in February, right, for the next election?
True.
Yeah, so.
Right. It's usually
I'm
through
sure about
February.
that, but if it's 8 months and then so he nominates somebody, and he feels that this person can actually do this job, and he can qualify him and we can qualify him. I mean, we should take that person's recommendation. That's my opinion.
Or like I said, you could just leave it until, the next time. But I don't think you should go like 11 months without a council.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the 5 or 6 month time frame is a good
Well,
parameter.
because you have to have time to attract someone.
You do. It's just going to take time. By the
To
time,
get the word
like
out
in this
there.
case, if we did this, by the time we find that person, it's going to be time to have an election. So it's like,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
And what it's going to happen is it's going to come up that he's not running, so the position will be open.
Right. So now you're just talking basically 3 regular council meetings.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So, any other thoughts? Any ideas?
So we could just leave it, for this situation, we could just leave this to where that position would just remain open until the election and just encourage people to sign up to run for the position.
Yeah, but we want something that's gonna set the
'cause-
standard, so we can't just say for this one.
Yeah.
Correct.
I would say, take his nomination, make an interim for 2 months, and then have an actual election, just so the seat doesn't stay empty. And like the mayor said, the mayor doesn't hold an actual election for that position.
Well, you would have it at the next election cycle.
But what if it's like a year in?
Tom had something to say.
No, if you appoint somebody, Ray, they're gonna be in the position until the next election. Yeah, it's not a temporary,
yeah,
yeah, it's temporary to the next election.
Right, yeah. I think that was assumed.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, but with such a short time frame, my thinking is too, is like, by the time we actually get through that process of allowing people to apply, being able to look at it in a meeting and everything else, well, it's gonna be time to sign up for elections.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, so,
Right.
but if we wanna make an ordinance for the future, we could definitely set that parameter of like, when it is, you know, say, your idea of 6 months prior to an election, then we will take applications to fill that spot.
We already talked about a couple of scenarios. Maybe we just need to write those scenarios down and just approve one of them. You know? Yeah, so.
It's for the people though, right? People should elect the council. It's not like we run and we represent the people of each district. So shouldn't they have a say? If I had to do it, I just call it down to the election council, let the people vote that person in, because they're the ones that, you know, lately here, they don't feel like they have a certain council, that's why they don't attend that much.
Jump to the mic, please.
Yeah.
I think one of the problems is though, is if, let's show an example of like we have an election and that person steps in and starts their first meeting in June or whatever it is. Let's say in August, that person unfortunately gets very ill and now they've got to vacate their position. We wouldn't want to leave that open for 2 years. It's like we need to have a way to deal with that for those long-term situations. Like it does need to be 6 months or more, I think.
Right, that's why I mentioned 6 months.
Yeah, I think that's a good parameter.
So one other point. If you were to accept a quick nomination, okay, so now you're putting somebody in here with zero experience and hasn't even attended TML seminars or anything.
Yeah.
Okay, right, and his vote's gonna carry this, his or her vote is gonna carry the same weight as everyone else's.
Correct.
Okay, I'm throwing it all out there. I'm not saying I agree or disagree.
Yeah.
Okay,
So that was your concern was my concern at first. It's like well, that would be the only person that has to go through this application process. You know, but it is documented, like Josh was saying. It's like I think that's a good process for doing it for those longer term situations.
Yeah.
But I don't.
We need to talk to the mic.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I just don't think we have the time, like with these short, with this one being such a short fuse. This is a good example of a short fuse situation that probably just needs to be left vacant for a couple of months.
So Josh is definitely gonna be here January, and then February, March, and April, 3 months empty, and then the election comes in May, someone will fill the seat.
Yeah, very early in May is usually the election.
And you're gonna have the sign up, beginning in January, middle of January, and it's gonna end in the middle of February. That's the sign up period for Josh's
So
seat.
there we go. It's like that's
Well,
the process for that one.
That's also one of the reasons why I wanted this out in the public now, because a lot of people might assume that Josh Ritchie's been here for 4 years, and he's gonna continue. We need to let it be known that, hey, he's not running again, you know, it's open, because that's a little over a month from now, if people start signing up, right?
I definitely think we need to publicize that, like, you know, because that should be a news story, you know, that we've accepted his resignation.
Exactly.
And now that position will be open. We encourage people to apply starting in mid-January, whatever that date is.
So leave it vacant for 3 months. It only gives the mayor power for 3 months. It's not like you're gonna be, give you special privileges.
And that's in ties. Yeah, if there's a tie.
Power is a relative term. It also puts you in a position where you have to make very unpopular decisions you'd rather not be associated with.
Well, my thought was to suggest within the 6-month window, number one.
Right.
Okay, but you can't protract it very long either, because you need to make a move. So at the next council meeting after the resignation, okay, there needs to be nominees for council to vote. So does that make sense?
Yeah.
That way he'll be replaced at the very next regular meeting. So Josh has announced tonight, effective at the January meeting, right? Okay, so that gives another 30 days to kind of start this process. And he kind of did that right, I thought that was great that he did that, to allow a little bit to happen. Okay, but let's just say if he had to walk tomorrow, right? So then we would publicize it. If people don't want to step up within the first couple of weeks, or there's not anyone you know, and so forth, okay, well, the window closes, right? They either step up now or they don't. You can't protract it, right? You make a decision then, right? And then council will approve or disapprove at the very next council meeting.
I almost feel like because of the, that this would be forming a new ordinance, I almost think it'd be worthwhile to have David and Tom put together a proposal that in the right language that would kind of reflect, you know, this idea. Maybe we could even have a couple of options that we could look at our next meeting, and then we could adopt that ordinance so that it would be in place for the future. I mean, I think this one kind of speaks for itself. I mean, you know, I think we're not in a problem with Josh, because we're coming up on people applying for the election anyway, so let that, but I mean, I don't have a problem with it, but I think we need to make sure it has the right language, so it's clear, and it'd be nice to be able to see that in writing, and then we can look at it and say, hey, I like A, I don't like B, you know, whatever. Maybe have like 2 or 3 different ways to look at it, or at least a couple of different ways to look at it. I like the idea of including the 6 months, you know, and it'd just be good to be able to come back and be able to have something to present to the council that would be a little more concrete that we could consider, now that we've kind of tossed around some ideas. Because otherwise, we could sit here and hash this out for...
Okay, yeah, okay, well, as it sits right now, there is no set policy. Okay, so for example, this gentleman that Josh has spoken to is interested in what have you, we can put it on the next agenda, saying discuss and consider accepting a nomination for District 4, okay? So that all is open. We can do anything between now and then. Or council can sit here and say, if it comes to the next council meeting, council can reject that and make a motion to wait until the next election. Does that make sense? That way you got it covered for now, okay? That leaves the option open, and you know, Josh is trying to find a suitable replacement, okay? And council can consider that. And in the meantime, if someone else pops up, you can do the same thing. You can always just reject it right now. We can do anything you want. And as a matter of fact, if it gets too hard to figure out something to follow, you can just keep it this way forever.
Well, I think for this one, I think what we should do is just go ahead and publicize it and encourage people to apply to run when those applications are open in January. Because you know, we're coming up on the holidays, give people a little bit of time to think about it. And then,
okay.
You know, that's just my idea. I don't know what y'all think. It's like, it seems to me that would be, at this point, we're so close to that point.
Yes.
That we just let that, but we do need to publicize, and we need to like encourage people from District 4 to consider running for that position, and the applications for the election or whatever happen starting on January, whatever that is, David.
Okay.
So what if we just leave the seat vacant for 4 months as a general rule, and on the 5th month, no matter what part of the church it's in, unless it's election, have an election, a special election on the 5th month to fill that.
Well, you would
seat.
you would just go to the next election cycle.
Yeah. Right. So
you would just wait for that, because you're going to have one every May. Every
Right.
single May there's going to be a city election of some sort. So the next election cycle, let's say if he wasn't up, okay, because I think this next one, 3 aldermen run, right? Okay, so technically Mike's not up. Let's just say Mike was in Josh's place right now, you would have an election for four councilmen. Is all. So, okay, well, for the sake of expediency, we've thrown it out there. My apologies, this is something I wanted to do from day one when I got elected. Okay, and as you know, we get busy on all kinds of other things.
It is a loosey-goosey thing.
Right, so as is right now, it's completely open to whatever council decides to do. Josh, if you got a nomination, bring them. Council can say yes or no. Okay, and if anyone else pops up in the meantime, all right, and they're interested, they can come and plead their case to council if they wish, and be treated the same. Okay? Oh, yeah, for sure. So, no, you don't need a motion for that. That's just a press release.
So just for clarification, so we are seeking to have somebody come in and take it over temporarily?
No, we're just,
Okay, just encouraging people to,
everything is open.
yeah,
It's all-
just letting them know the position is open and that they should consider running. Yeah.
Yeah, the main thing is you want to stir up interest for that next election. Because
Yes.
they'll have to sign up before February.
That's right.
The middle of February.
Yep,
So that's the main thing.
I'm all in favor of that.
But this just reminded me of all this, and hey, you know, it's, like I said, so,
That's a good point.
yeah. All right. Anything else on agenda item 16? All right, moving on. Okay, David, go ahead.
Just for clarification, so y'all do not want the city to run. So by law, with the election code, Michelle's gonna be running announcements in the paper about the election anyhow, about the general election. But, so that's the only, y'all do not want us to make any special addition in the paper about a seat being open between now and May, correct? Just wanna make sure that we understand.
Yeah, I don't think it would be a proactive thing. We need to, there needs to be, and I thank Josh for doing this soon enough. The press release basically needs to say that Councilman Ritchie has resigned, okay, and such, and his seat will be open at the May election.
Yeah.
If you wish to serve, okay, if you live in District 4 and you meet the qualifications, okay, then you will need to apply by such and such a time. And just kind of get it out there as predominantly as you can. You know,
I mean, yeah, even within that article, you could also say that, you know, which other council seats are up for their normal election cycle, and, you know, it could be kind of a, you know, just to kind of get people, because like you said, we had 62 people, it's like, we need to start on this early.
But you know, a lot of times, you'll have somebody that, okay, Josh has been very visible, he's done a lot of good things, he's been outspoken, he's had a Facebook page, a lot of people know who he is. And there may be someone in his district that would be interested in running, however, they could possibly feel, well, there's no way I can beat Councilman Ritchie. Okay, and I'm using him as an example. Okay, you follow me? Right, so they won't even try. You know, or they could say, well, I like what Josh is doing, I wouldn't mind doing it either, but I'm gonna let him do it, you see? So we need to encourage someone to sign up now that he's made it public that he's gonna resign. Rather than saying, going down to the end of it, say, oh yeah, I'm not running again.
Yeah.
You know, I think he's done a community a service here by letting it be known earlier. You know, so, all right. Well, some good thought, David. Is that it?
Good, thank you.
All right, we got informational items. Anything from anyone?
Yes. So I don't know about 173, but the school zone signs and for the school zone traffic hours on Wendy Knoll the actual AM bell rings at 7:55, and the driving zone maybe it ends at 7:45. Essentially, the sign hours are completely off from the actual school hours. So it might be something we look into to change that. I don't know if anyone's actually getting citations for speeding during those hours, but they're a solid hour or 45 minutes off from the actual hours that kids are released and heading to school.
Really?
Yep.
It wasn't Wendy Knoll?
Yep.
Yeah, those signs I think have been there a long time.
Yeah.
And they're also hard to see, and I think
They are very hard to see.
you're right, I think it'd be good to like update those signs anyway and make them larger. And with some painted lines across the street where it begins and where it ends. If they're there, you can't see them anymore.
On that note, there aren't been, I don't know that any kids actually walk. Mine walk for a little bit, but most kids don't walk because all the sticker burrs, so
Yeah, the
might not need
problem,
that.
the problem is they don't run buses in a certain.
Oh, I'm astutely aware of that.
But so we do have a lot of students that we see them walking down Dilly and Coker.
Okay.
And they come down that way, and then they come the opposite way at the end of the day, and they filter into the neighborhood, and it is dangerous. But yeah, the signs on the street say 7:15 to 7:45, I believe. And then at the end of the day, it's like 2:45 to 3:15, I think is what it says.
Something like that, yeah. Something that does not line up though, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, usually when it needs to like extend like I mean, it's fine to extend up to 45 minutes before school starts, or 30 minutes. What are the ones that up here do, like 30 minutes before, 30 minutes after release? Yeah.
Very close to that.
Yeah, it's probably like a half an hour, so, I mean, it just needs to, we need to look at that and get with the district, bell schedule over there, you know, with the intermediate and the elementary, because it really affects both of those two campuses. And then, you know, I guess, Pete, we need to do something about those signs and markings, because it's, you know, it's one of those things, those have been there probably for 40 years or something, I don't know, but you can't even see them.
Maybe we should get hold of TxDOT and see what time their flashers come on.
Yeah.
You know, and do the same time on when you know. Because they have the flashers on speed limit.
Yeah, I want to say like up there on 173, it seems like those lights come on like at 3 o'clock. Because I've been up and down there, and that's over there, the middle school releases at 3:33, so that's a good half an hour. I mean, that's 40 minutes before the high school releases, but it makes sense. You know, that's generally a time when, you know, everybody needs to kind of start slowing it down, and it's like, I think it's like 30 minutes is pretty standard. But I don't know the start time for the intermediate yet, if those are staggered. I would think they're about the same.
Okay, another item curious on DMA's third Saturday night market. I understand they're not approved this in February. They can't use the community center parking lot. Ample time to readjust. They have been operating here for about 1.5 years though, and the Saturday market's been operating for about 3 years now. So I don't remember exactly what the verbiage was on that item, but maybe we agreed that if someone wanted to rent this out, they would have to move or something like that. But overall, my concern here is our position as a city, which is, sorry, we can't do that, or this is policy, or this is the way we've always done it, or so having a set of how can we get to a yes. And this is, I've seen multiple things like this, but Saturday market is just the example of, okay, can we just shut down that street? I think that's already in the ordinance, and they can just use that and maybe parking in the back instead of inhibiting any use of the community center, or even water lines or sewer lines or anything like that. How do we change the mentality to how can we get to this objective instead of just sorry, that doesn't work. It might be a manpower issue, I don't know, but our property inside city limits certainly goes at a discount, anywhere between 25 and 40%, a lot of times because folks don't want to deal with just the bureaucracy that comes with the municipality. And so I would just implore folks, how do we get to a yes, or this works for both parties instead of a, sorry, can't do that.
Just like a comment, I was just notified about that situation this evening right before the meeting, so we're going to look into that. One of the staff members inadvertently scheduled a date for Quinceañera, and so from now on, we're going to mark out those dates in the calendar that it's a DMA weekend, and then that won't happen again. But so I was literally told about it the one time we came over.
Well, I don't even think it's unreasonable for us to try and get revenue out of this building and say, hey guys, this month you can't use this because we have someone willing to pay us money that we would really like to get. So this month you're relegated to the street, or just something else that won't inhibit the use of this, but it gets to that. It meets both our needs. Yep, both of us are making concessions, but this meets your need as well. Does that make sense?
There needs to be a plan B.
Right.
Yeah, because I agree with you. We need to not shut off revenue for the building. It's like, that's how we maintain it and so forth. Yeah, whatever we can do. You know, it's getting to be a problem down here anyway, just like with the fall festival with parking and safety and you know, all those issues. And you know, I mean, eventually, I don't know where we're going to put it all, but probably not here.
All right. Anything else? All right, good enough. Agenda item 18. I'll make a motion.
Go ahead, Mike.
Who's got it?
You get a shot, man.
Go ahead.
All right, make a motion, we adjourn this meeting.
Motion from Jeff.
That's my
Adjourn.
most favorite.
Second.
Second from Michael. Right, Michael? All in favor? All right, guys. Hey, y'all have a great Christmas. All right, keep in touch. What's that?